Welcome to the Cup of Joe Show, the podcast where Senator Joseph Krein talks about the latest in New Jersey's 20th Legislative District. This week's guest, Union County Commissioner Sergio Granados.
Welcome to another Cup of Joe Show. And my name is Joe Krein, and I'm thrilled that you've taken a couple minutes to join us today as we continue to highlight leadership, service, and the people who get things done here in New Jersey. I am particularly honored today to be joined by Commissioner Sergio Granados, who's a lifelong resident of the city of Elizabeth. He's a passionate community advocate. He is indeed somebody who gets things done. I've had the great opportunity of working with Sergio in a variety of different ways and a variety of different issues along the way, as they say. And I'm exceptionally honored that he's taken a few minutes with us today. You know, Sergio, you were first elected, I think, in 2013. Am I correct about that?
Exactly, Senator. 2013 is when I first got elected.
At the time, pretty young guy, right?
So I was 26 years old. You know, luckily with the support of yourself and so many others in the community and the residents, I was able to get elected, becoming the youngest Democratic commissioner elected in the state of New Jersey, and also youngest commissioner, then freeholder, in the County of Union's history also.
So you've made a name for yourself, especially by your response. You get back to people and you follow through on commitments and things like that. Talk to me about what your passions are in terms of public service.
You know, I think that's one of the things that we have definitely in common is that we like to stay engaged with the community. Grassroots, I think, is at our forefront. You know, making sure that our cell phone numbers are on our business cards, making sure that, you know, we get those telephone calls, but people knowing that they can reach out to us whenever they want to. And that's what sets, you know, us apart from a lot of other individuals who aren't as engaging and stuff like that. When, you know, we want to make sure that we're always a phone call away for residents. That's always my line is, you know, I'm a phone call away, or a text message, sometimes a lot easier too. Text message away also.
It's amazing, isn't it? We get more texts now than we do calls.
We definitely do.
As somebody said to me, texts don't judge you. They just make you read them. Talk to me a little bit about, so the whole idea of this program, and part of the reason that we started it, is to meet people and know a little bit more about them. So talk to me about you. Talk to me about where'd you grow up, what you're up to, your family, those sort of things. Like, give folks a little idea about yourself.
Sounds good. So born and raised in the city of Elizabeth, where I still live to this day with my wife, Kellyanne, and our 5-month-old son, Alexander. And it's a great honor to have my close-knit family. One of the most important things is family. And basically, you know, growing up in Elizabeth, my grandparents came from Portugal, moved to the United States. My grandfather used to wash cars. My grandmother worked in a manufacturing company. My father came from El Salvador, worked in a manufacturing plant also. And, you know, it's the American dream, basically working hard, dedicating your time, and providing a better future for your family and for your community. And that's some of the, you know, values that my grandparents, my mom, my father, have put into me, and something I continue to work on each single day is making sure that I'm working hard, dedicating myself to the community, making sure it's a better place for others, and making sure my family has everything they need also.
Wonderful. So how, besides public life, in terms of your elected office, job, work?
So I work for the City of Elizabeth, Department of Health and Human Services for the Division of Health. And basically, you know, through our division, we oversee housing inspectors, restaurant inspectors, nursing staff, vital statistics. And I work directly underneath our health officer, Mark Colicchio, who helps run the health office for the City of Elizabeth. And so we get to engage with so many different establishments, different residents from different complaints they may be having, and making sure we're addressing them as quickly as possible.
So you get the inside in terms of the information of what's really happening in people's lives for a variety of different issues.
And we get to see also, you know, what the best restaurants to go visit are also after some of those inspections.
Okay.
But, you know, one of the great things is that, you know, our restaurants here in Elizabeth like to make sure that they're clean, upkept. So it's been really great to visit the diverse food we have here in the state of Elizabeth.
Now you bring up diversity, right? And that is maybe it's the greatest honor of all, the fact that we get to represent such a diverse group of folks and have that specialty, have that special opportunity in common. But talk a little bit about issues. And I'm going to bring up some to you. I'm just going to hit you on the blind a little bit. But I know they're part of your passion. So let's talk first about housing, right? The folks that we deal with, and you mentioned restaurants. The folks that work in restaurants, for example, struggle often with the cost of housing, and especially as it's exploded. Can you talk a little bit about housing and kind of what your work product has been, things you've worked on, and what kind of vision you have for it?
I think we've both talked about inflation's been on the rise and, trying to make sure affordable, New Jersey affordable, 20th district. But, even as a county commissioner in COVID time, we saw so many people struggling to basically pay their rent. They had that type of issue where they couldn't pay for their rent. You had homeowners not able to pay for their taxes for those homes. So, I worked alongside my county commissioner board to create a $15 million relief grant program. And the way we made sure this happened was that we were helping out our renters who needed help, but also that their money went directly to homeowners to make sure they were basically helping out, also paying their taxes. So it was a win-win for everyone. We helped cover people's rent who were back to on rent because they couldn't afford it because, a lot of jobs weren't taking place during COVID time because they were getting laid off, etc. And then it was helping out homeowners who were struggling to pay for their taxes. And ever since then, too, we've worked on making sure that we're creating affordable housing when it comes to vouchers on a county level through our CDBG programs, through our home fund programs. We just dedicated up to $2 million, I believe it was, recently to a veteran housing project that's going to be being built in Westfield also. We're allocating funding to a veteran project housing that's taking place in Elizabeth. And those are just some of the projects that we know that people are struggling to make sure that they have affordable housing. And we're working to do so on a county level, and I look forward to doing that in the future, too.
Is that the project through the American Legions for the veterans?
That's the one in Westfield, yes.
Yeah, I was just up at that. They had a great event on Saturday, just a Saturday night very recently, and they had a packed house, too. Yeah, one thing that unites us all is making sure our veterans get the services they deserve. Do you do a lot of mobile units and things like that in the county as well?
So one of the things that, I've been strong about when it came to some of my different initiatives as a chairman was moving Union County forward, building a stronger Union County. And one of the things is making sure that we're bringing services directly to our residents. Sometimes it's hard for our residents to come to us directly, so we want to make sure we bring services to them. So we have our Union County Cares vans that bring direct services, let it be human services, let it be Office on Aging. Some of our commissioner grant programs are going directly into communities to make sure that our residents are well aware of what's taking place across the county and with some of the different opportunities they can take advantage of.
And do you find folks, is there a large demand for it?
There's been a large demand. So many different communities have reached out wanting to see these CARES vans, wanting to see some of our additional services because, like we know too, even working in government, sometimes there's grants out there or different programs out there that people don't know about. Sometimes we don't even fully know about.
Right.
So making sure that we have these CARES vans that go directly into the community with a wealth of information, wealth of knowledge is not only empowering our communities, it's empowering our residents.
Hand in hand with housing is the opportunity to have a job where you can actually afford your housing, right, which has been part of the struggle. And as the economy has changed and changed over the years, we have seen a significant difference in terms of workforce development, in terms of people having the opportunity to be flexible and gain training. I know the county's had a Skill Up Union County program and a couple others, and it goes hand in hand. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, interesting. So I also serve as the Workforce Development Board liaison, where a lot of these job fairs come from. And one of the things that I made sure too was that we have sometimes job fairs, and residents are looking into these job fairs, but aren't fully interested in the type of job sector that's being presented to them. So now what we started doing is creating job fairs dedicated to different job sectors. So you have the transportation, logistics, you have one for IT, for data processing, and also making sure that these job fairs are providing opportunities for individuals. When it comes to the Skill Up Union County program that we launched, it's a virtual program for free that's providing free courses that individuals can upskill themselves in their current employment sector that they're in, or if they're looking to change their job sectors, change their job, they can get trained, get certifications in other programs for free once again, which I think is such a major benefit because there's over 200 different programs, courses that you can take advantage of, all for free. You can leave work at 5 o'clock and go, take some courses at nighttime, take some class on the weekend, and it literally will help you out with different information, different knowledges that maybe you didn't have in the past.
All virtual.
All virtual.
So you can keep your main job, you can go ahead and grow and then see what opportunities are there.
Exactly.
Interesting. That's great. So with the community, it goes to having an opportunity for a home or housing, having an opportunity for a career, but you also have to be safe, right? And near and dear to my heart, I admit, a little bit of a former undersheriff and sheriff talking to you as well. Public safety and such an issue in terms of the county of Union and literally the state of New Jersey. Public safety and the work that's been done in partnerships with the county in terms of criminal justice reform. Don't want to switch gears too quick, but I do think it's important folks know. Do you have a commitment there? Is there any sort of record that folks can talk to or learn about?
100% Senator. Like you said before, as a former sheriff, also before being senator, we've worked hand in hand and worked alongside our different community partners because I, do believe it's a whole community effort. We got to work together with our municipal partners and other government agencies. But we've created programs like making sure Union County was the first county in the state of New Jersey to have every single police department equipped with body cameras, not only providing a safer opportunity for residents, but also for our law enforcement personnel who have these body cameras on them. We created go for it.
No, I have to tell you, we did that in the sheriff's office, and I had a complaint one day about a process officer, one of the guys who was just happy in the morning and happy at night, and just the joy to be around. And the complaint was about him, so I obviously had my doubts, and we pulled the body cam video, which, at the time was quite controversial. Took one look at it and realized that the complaint was unfounded immediately. And what I always say is that the cameras actually help the officers.
So literally to your point exactly is, we got a lot of pushback at first from law enforcement personnel saying, hey, we don't want to wear body cameras. We don't want to wear it. But there's been, like you just stated before, perfect examples of how these body cameras have benefited our law enforcement personnel from people sometimes falsified complaints against them. So it works hand in hand, benefiting both residents and our law enforcement personnel.
One of the programs I've seen out there more recent in just the past couple of years, and a program that's certainly had some discussion, but it's the ARRIVE program that's talked about mental health. Now, one of the things we talk about, we see cuts in mental health offered and proposed by the federal government. We see challenges here in the state in terms of funding, but we all understand that mental health has a variety of aspects to it. And one of the things as a society we do now is we grow. We understand mental health is part of what we are and who we are. And the more we learn and the more we understand. But in law enforcement, I understand that there's a relatively innovative, relatively new program. Can you talk about what that program is?
So I think it's all about shining a light on mental health. So many people like to hide away from some of the mental health issues they may be facing, but we want to make sure that people feel free that you're not the only one possibly going through that struggle. There's many other individuals also. So know that you can always talk to someone. You have someone alongside you who can help guide you along the way. But when it came to the Ride Together program, we talk about first in Union County, it's working with our state legislatures, working with our community partners. We once again became, when I was chairman, passed in 2023, we became the first county to have the Ride Together program countywide, and the first county to also have university participate in the Ride Together program. Because when we talked to Dr. Repollet too, I talked to him about how, this is going to be benefiting all our surrounding towns, but making sure that kids who are in dorm rooms sleeping there, who might be having different mental issues, have law enforcement personnel, have mental health providers, being able to talk to them if they might face a certain situation. So this is a great partnership where it first started with, I believe it was 3 municipalities, and it grew to every single law enforcement agency across the County of Union. And it's linking up law enforcement with mental health professionals who can go out to some of these calls and help de-escalate the situation. We know that our law enforcement personnel are continuously getting educated on what's happening currently at the moment, but having someone who deals with this on a day-to-day basis, mental health issues, is providing a greater amount of insight.
Progressive law enforcement.
Yes.
So when you say Dr. Repollet, so the good folks at King University have been partners as well?
Yes,
right?
They are.
And do they utilize students as part of this, or can you just go over that for me a little bit again?
So we partner up with Robert Wood Johnson, some of their health professionals, and what they've been doing too is reaching out to King University students and trying to create some type of mentorship program where they start bringing some of those individuals who are going into mental health professional careers, kind of gain some hours also, working alongside Robert Wood Johnson, working alongside King University, and kind of building up their knowledge, because we're trying to also, like we always talk about, trying to build up the future of tomorrow.
So better outcomes in law enforcement.
Without a doubt.
So that's innovative and it's creative, and I'm certainly glad that there's such a partnership there. But the other part of it is when folks do come out, right? When law enforcement's done its job, people have made a mistake, people have paid their debt, as we say. I can tell you as somebody who dealt with that recidivism rate, that the work that's been done over the years and the understanding that if you work with somebody and you rehab them and you work with them and they get a job when they get out, right? They're not the CEO of the corporation when they get out. but they have a job and an opportunity, that recidivism rate goes down significantly. But I believe you folks, your work, particularly down with the Commissioner Board, has done some creative things with the reentry program. You want to share some thoughts on that?
100%. So we started doing record expungement clinics. We held 2 of them already so far. Our first one was tremendous success, people coming out. We had over 350 individuals come out to get their records expunged. We had lawyers volunteering their time. And then when there was a backlog of individuals who couldn't be seen that day, we made sure we created a list so that lawyers could reach out to them afterwards and provide those additional services to get their records expunged. But, there's people who went through tough times in their life and are sometimes looking for a second chance. And by being able to provide that second chance for them and getting their records expunged, they can now qualify for a job they couldn't qualify for before. Can possibly get that apartment they couldn't get before. So it's making sure we're providing additional opportunities for our residents.
So no matter how someone feels about a crime and a criminal who's created it, I think most folks can agree that when that person has A, done their time, so to speak, but B, is functional, has a job, and is contributing to society, that everybody wins. Is that a fair way to put it?
100%. It's a win-win for everyone. They've noticed that they did something wrong in their life, and they want to better themselves. And by bettering themselves, they're bettering the community also.
So we've touched upon things like opportunities for housing, being safe in our homes, the opportunity to develop in our workforce if we need a new career. We also need to talk about our communities a little bit, right? And the opportunity maybe to relax a little bit and kind of enjoy our public spaces. I'm particularly, as a resident of Union, I'm interested in a couple of community opportunities that you have taken a leadership role on in the commissioner role. But also talk to me a lot about how the county and how yourself as a leader are investing in open space and in parks and what that means for people.
So, one of the great things, too, as a commissioner, I've been able to serve as liaison to different committees. And, some of the committees as Workforce Development Board, but I've also served as liaison to Open Space as their chairman. And through Open Space and through liaison to the Union County Improvement Authority, we worked on various improvement projects across the county. We've made sure that, one of the things that we talked about recently was Lightning Brook Park when it came to expanding upon, literally, it will be a state-of-the-art facility by the time everything's done with it. And one of the things that residents are always constantly happy about to hear is the splash pad, making sure they're going to have summer fun with their families. Because as we say before, a lot of families aren't able to travel outside the county or travel to Disney, et cetera, like that. So having recreational opportunities, having recreational play locally right here is making a tremendous difference.
Okay. Apologize for the interruption,
No, go for
but
it.
when we say Lightning Brook Park in Union, not everybody knows where it is. So it's right on Union Avenue. Is that right?
Yep.
Right off Oakland. So it's one of those that if you come in via either Vauxhall Road or Stuyvesant Avenue, you come through Oakland Avenue. That sign that takes you to the Parkway on Union Avenue, that's the place. Or if you're one of those that remembers the old dairy.
I was going to bring the dairy that you mentioned.
Right, the
yes.
Tuscan, right? Or more recently, Boxed has been there, and obviously the facility still remains there. So right across is the area we're talking about. Now, my understanding is that there's going to be more athletic fields as well, some other things. Can you talk about that?
So one of the things that the Township Committee has talked about, something our Commissioner Board has worked alongside with them, is making sure we're providing more multi-purpose fields, making sure that we have soccer, baseball. There's going to be basketball courts, like we said before, a splash pad, picnic areas, additional parking. It's going to be fully lit up. Like I said before, Union Township, working alongside the County Commissioner Board and our Improvement Authority, is going to have a state-of-the-art facility that's going to be providing opportunities and recreational play from adults to young kids.
That's great. Talk a little bit more about them. I know there's other parks where there's other investments happening. Take them in there too. People, this is the kind of stuff as we move into the warmer season, people need to know.
Yep. So when it comes to Montana Park in Elizabeth, New Jersey, we're going to do 2 new turf fields there. They're going to be soccer. That's going to be football. We're adding a brand new walking path. It'll also be an additional 30, 40 parking spots because a lot of residents who visit Montana Park complain about parking. So we're making sure we're addressing that issue by additional parking there, a brand new bathroom, different gym equipment that's going to be taking place along your walking path. When it comes to Warren Ankle Park, we've been seeing the uptick in individuals who want to participate in hockey. So, working alongside First State Grant and through our Union County Commissioner Board, we're going to do a year-round skating facility, which is going to be tremendous in providing hockey opportunities, ice skating opportunities for individuals. And when we talked with the different partners who are community organizations who run hockey programs, we made sure that they tied in free scholarships to individuals who may not be able to afford the hockey equipment for
Hockey's
the whole.
not cheap.
Exactly. So they're providing free scholarships to individuals also who want to participate, and that's one of the things we worked out working alongside with these community partners to provide for our residents.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot more that we're doing across the county. We have one of the great things I think brand new that we're going to be kicking off in Kenilworth actually is Storytime Trails. And so Storytime Trails we're going to be doing in Blackbird Park. It's going to be in Warrenco Park, Echo Lake Park, and it's basically going to be monuments that are going to be able to be interchanged with different storybooks. And one of the great things about this is that as you're walking, along Blackbird Park, you're going to be able to read a story. But more importantly, too, when we have residents who create their own books, they can reach out to the county, and we're going to display their books on these trails. So kind of like, showcasing that we're supporting our local residents, we're supporting our community also.
And encouraging particularly families to enjoy a walk and a time together and maybe explore a new story along the way.
Exactly.
That's a great idea. That's great. Well, you've got investments in recreation, but also, how do you word this properly? You and I have seen, and we've talked about a little bit here, whether it's the struggles in housing or job opportunities or so on, that creates incredible stress on families. And one of the areas that I know that yourself, and I'll say this, a Necchiano, having made more than a few sandwiches with a Necchiano along the way, is in food security and the concern that people have. We would all be surprised as to how many of our neighbors go hungry and how many of our neighbors utilize, correct me if I'm wrong, community food banks. I was wondering, could you talk about how the county deals with that issue?
So, what we saw a couple years back was that we had different organizations who the county provides funding to, the state provides funding to, but they weren't working together. So one of the things we did was create the Union County Food Security Summit, which basically brought together all our partners in making sure we have a unified front. So then when residents are basically looking for food, they're looking for services when it comes to helping pay for their electrical services, utility bills, they can visit our county website, and then it'll direct them to other community partners. And so like that, it makes it easier on individuals who are already facing so many struggles, who might be stressing out about trying to figure out where they're going to get their food from, where they're going to get their utilities paid from. You can go to one location, and it makes it a lot easier for our residents. And, having this food security summit, we've seen, like you stated before, Senator, there's so many people who are facing struggles that maybe our next door neighbors that we have no idea what they're facing when it comes to a possible loss of job or paying for their mortgage and trying to put food on top of that table. So we're making sure that we're trying to provide opportunities when it comes to working with the Community Food Bank, Jewish Family Services, Prevention Links United Way, another great partner also in providing these, fill the gaps basically in helping out residents.
I was up in, listen to me, we were off Springfield Avenue watching the folks in Vauxhall do their annual urban garden program. And I am continually amazed as to how many fresh vegetables, how much fresh fruit can come out of a garden, and the creativity of people to make it happen, and their dedication. I know you've done a lot of work with urban gardening along the way. Can you share a couple thoughts?
So, when you talk about an idea coming to fruition, this is one of those. So years back, I had an idea about Union County Kids Dig In. And basically this idea was basically providing gardens at our local schools across the county. And, today we're already at almost 200 school and community gardens. And what I tied into every single contract is that 30% of the produce that's raised at these gardens have to go back to local food pantries or go back to local kids in schools, local kids in the community who are maybe families facing a struggling time when it comes to healthy vegetables. So, we visit Rahway and you see watermelons being grown. You visit Elizabeth, you see eggplant being grown, and so many kids are like, wow, I never knew what eggplant is. You go to Union, you go to Roselle, and you see how they're intertwining into their day-to-day lives. You see the mint being grown from their garden. When they have the parent-teacher nights, they're doing mint water, so then parents can teach and learn about some of the vegetables they're growing in their garden, how it's being put back into their local day-to-day efforts. And seeing sometimes that produce that we're seeing going back to local charities, seeing these kids that are 7, 8 years old, along with grown adults, taking it back to local food pantries, giving it to people that they know are in need. It's just heart-filling, and seeing how this is literally going full circle. You're helping out your community, you're giving back at the same time too, you're learning about agriculture. We literally have, Union County has the largest urban gardening program in the state of New Jersey. And it's because of the community of residents working together with our schools, everybody coming hand in hand and, getting their hands a little dirty in the dirt. And one of the things, when we talk about the school Kids Dig In program, I created it to make sure that we had agricultural programs, but I did a lot of research on dirt and how it interacts with kids who have special needs, them having the touch and sense, and it actually calmed them and relaxed them. And we saw a lot of schools now integrating some of their autistic programs, some of their special needs classes, interacting and going into the gardening program and seeing how the kids are getting more relaxed once they're playing in the dirt, touching the vegetables, and it's literally amazing to see.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's great. We've taken a lot of time, and I know we could talk about it a lot more. But tell me about the future. Tell me what you're thinking about. I mean, you're running for the state assembly. I'm very hopeful that we're going to work together in the state legislature very soon. I'm certainly working hard to make sure it happens. But talk to me about your vision for that and things you want to accomplish and things you want to build upon.
Like you said, I look forward to hopefully working alongside you, Senator, and I appreciate your dedication to helping me out along the way and making sure that we're constantly in contact. I want to make sure New Jersey is more affordable for residents. I want to make sure that we're bringing more services on the state level to our local residents, to our local small businesses, and knowing about some of the state grants that are being offered and knowing that they can apply for it. So having these information sessions, working alongside you in Union, in Elizabeth, in Kenilworth, in Roselle, and having, the state come to you basically type days where we can work hand in hand with that. Making sure that, NJ Trans is something that so many individuals are not only, I can't even use the word critiquing, it's what they're facing day to day and the delays and the major faults that NJ Transit is providing for residents and how they're not keeping their end of the bargain when it comes to providing great, affordable transit for individuals. So I definitely want to tackle that issue also and working alongside you when it comes to NJ Transit and figuring out a way that we can make it work better for our residents.
Well, as we've talked about here in a time that's gone by way too quick, you've got a foundation and a record of success, and I'm looking forward to you continuing that success in your next career as an assemblyman. Sergio Granados, thanks for spending time with us. Thanks for sharing a cup of Joe.
Thanks.
And we'll talk to you all soon.
That's a wrap on this episode of A Cup of Joe, hosted by Senator Joseph Crine. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you again for another cup.